No punny opening line for this one. Let's just remember the late Julian Sands in one of his most iconic roles. Welcome to Sick Flicks, where I take a deep dive into the cinematic sewer to help you embrace your inner gore geek. I'm Mike Bracken, aka the Horror Geek, and today we're tackling Steve Miner's beloved B-movie, Warlock. Released in 1991, Warlock has an excellent cast, led by Julian Sands in the title role. Screenwriter David Twohy originally wrote the film as more of a comedy, wherein the Warlock was a gentle and kind soul who escaped to the future to avoid religious persecution only to find he'd get more of the same in the 20th century. Fortunately, Twohy realized that didn't work and made the character a villain instead. But the real question is, can Warlock conjure up 5 barf bags of splatter? Let's get to the gore and find out. Oh, and before we get started, today's video is sponsored by patrons Timothy Smith, Maceo Smallwood, and Stephen Crooks. If you'd like to help sponsor some videos and free me from the shackles of YouTube's tyranny, you'll find a link to my Patreon in the pinned comment and description below. And now, let's get bloody. We fade in on a New World Pictures logo. That's a sure sign quality is right around the corner. This was one of the last films New World completed before filing bankruptcy. Given their dire financial straits, they sold the distribution rights to Trimark Pictures, who released the film and also scored the sequel rights. And we open the movie with a real-life version of Schrodinger's cat. This movie is clearly not wasting any time getting deep. Oh great, here come the pilgrims. Stop having fun, everyone. 1, 2, buckle my shoe. Man, these costumes for the Thanksgiving play look great. Anyway, this dude is pounding his wood.
Hell yeah.
No, not like that, you pervs. He's hammering whatever this is with a log. Oh, and starring Julian Sands. Sands went missing in the mountains earlier this year, and his remains were discovered in June. A tragic end to one of my favorite actors. Ooh, and Lori Singer. The Beastmaster's sister is in this movie. To be fair, she was in Footloose, so she's not just coasting on being the famous sibling of Mark Singer. Here's Richard E. Grant. I always remember Grant for 2 roles. His part as Redfern in this movie, and as Clifford, the manager of the Spice Girls in Spice World. Yeah, my brain is a weird place. Fun fact, they originally considered Sands for the part of the witch hunter sent to the present day to hunt down the Warlock. They thought Grant would make a great villain, and Steve Miner decided it would be more fun to flop them and let them play against type. And pretty low effort title card. I mean, the font is kinda cool, I guess. There were 3 Warlock films and a video game in total. Sands plays the title character in the first 2, but was replaced by one of my favorite character actors, Bruce Payne, in Warlock 3. Sands, for his part, was eager to play the Warlock, but it took some time before he accepted. As the story goes, he received the script and concluded it was a slasher movie and set it aside. Only after he read it later did he understand it wasn't a typical 80s horror film and that he wanted to be in it. Hey, Mary Warrenoff sighting! Since this was a New World production, it's not that surprising that she'd turn up. And here's Richard Grant, sporting a very Michael Bolton-esque hairpiece. Tower of Pisa always looks bigger in the pictures. This is actually a Hexen term, or witch tower. They were built to hold people accused of being witches, and some of them still stand in Germany today, apparently. Check out this dude, dormant at the world's first goth club. Anyway, our pilgrims are moving on up, like they're the Jeffersons. Damn it, I knew we should have put an elevator in this witch tower. Written by David Twohy. Twohy would go on to a nice little career. He also wrote the Harrison Ford Fugitive remake and the cult classic sci-fi flick Pitch Black. The less said about his Waterworld script, the better. And directed by Steve Miner. Horror fans are almost certainly familiar with Miner's work. He directed Friday the 13th Parts 2 and 3, then took a crack at Michael Myers in Halloween H2O. And he directed the cult favorite flick House, the one with William Catt, not the show about the doctor. Oh, hey, sorry to interrupt your yoga, but we need to try you for witchcraft. Yeah, this is me trying to stretch out my glutes and hammies before heavy squat day. They're not gonna let him finish, just gonna blast ahead with the charges.
A wealth of evidence has convicted thee of trafficking with the devil.
Well, that doesn't sound good, but this sounds even worse.
Thou art to be hanged, and then burned over a basket of living cats.
Man, PETA is definitely not gonna be cool with this. If all this wasn't bad enough, Redfern shows up and gives Sands a taste of his pimp knee? But before they can execute the Warlock, it looks like we've got a storm front coming in. Probably hard to burn witches at the stake if it's raining. Just saying. And back upstairs, Sands is headed back to the future, but Redfern is coming too. Not really sure how they not only time traveled, but also got from Boston to LA, but let's just roll with it. Anyway, it turns out Lori Singer is late for football practice. Great, we've got Warlocks again. Just another night in LA. Anyway, this guy is way too excited about Sands' bondage gear.
Oh,
What the heck are these?
Don't play dumb. We know you know. The next morning, Cassandra is ready for her dose of Tren. We're headed to Gainesville, baby. Oh, sure. Hide it in the insulin vial. That's smart. And Julian Sands is awake. All the powers of witchcraft and hell, and I still can't shake this damn hangover. So, this movie is set in 1988, but didn't actually release until January of 1991 because of the aforementioned bankruptcy issues with New World. The trailer actually appeared ahead of movies in 1989, even though the film wouldn't turn up for another 2 years. Anyway, Cassandra heads off for whatever it is she does. I mean, this is LA, so she's probably working on a screenplay. And this is what distracted driving looked like in the times before cell phones. I love Sands' getup. He looks like he could be in Bauhaus. And he's like, "May I have this dance?" Turns out he doesn't want to dance. He just wants some finger food. Oh yeah, this really complements my outfit. And Sands is gonna pay him for the ring with a kiss. Oh man, I've heard of tongue kissing, but this seems ridiculous. Also, I bet he got that recipe from the Necronomicon. Naturally, the cops assume Cassandra is the killer, and things get weird. Look, it wasn't me. It was a 17th century time-traveling warlock who landed in my living room. Are you high, lady? Because you sound high. With that done, let's check in on Mary Warrenov. She's a medium, and I don't mean her dress size. The good news is she's closed for the day. The bad news is Julian Sands needs her to read his aura.
You hail spirits, do you not?
And it sounds like someone likes what they see.
I really only, do group sessions.
This is good, because Sands is going to ask her to hold his magic wand.
Hell yeah.
No, not like that. His magic crystal wand. And then they get down to business.
Hell yeah.
Don't even say it, Danny. Anyway, Sands isn't buying her fake medium act, but that's okay, because she's about to become the real deal. Then it's time for some exposition. The demon wants Sands to find the 3 parts of its magic book.
The Grand Grimoire. Here. Now.
So basically, the Grand Grimoire is a demonic Bible split into 3 parts. By putting the 3 parts back together, the reader can see the true name of God. Say that backwards and you undo creation. I'm a sucker for occult apocalyptic grandeur. This clearly is a big job, and Sands is going to need some assistance. He's going to have to keep his eyes peeled for this book. If you saw the original theatrical trailer for Warlock, you probably remember this scene being quite different. Warnov's death was much more graphic in the original version, and there was a line about Sands being a messiah of Satan.
For you are the first to have lain eyes upon the new messiah.
Test audiences apparently didn't care for the line, and we got this toned-down version of the scene instead. It's a shame, really. This scene in the trailer sold me on Warlock back in the day. Since they can't hold Cassandra, she heads back to the scene of the crime, and someone's already there. The Warlock be dumb enough to just hang around the house? Of course he wouldn't. It's Redfern. Yeah, he's still in this movie. And he's not messing around. By God, he's locked in the sleeper hold. The Intercontinental Belt could be his. Will someone please hire JR to do these lines for me? Jesus, and he gives her a pimp hand too. Our hero, ladies and gentlemen. But one good punch deserves another. It's a real slobber knocker. Not gonna lie, time-traveling witch hunter would make for a pretty good wrestling gimmick. Might be time to make my pro debut. Redfern is here to track the Warlock, which he's apparently going to do by searching through this Warlock poop. Someone's getting a lot of fiber in their diet. Look at Cassandra. She's like, I did some weird shit in my experimental phase of college, but this is too much. And she's going to make some calls. Hey, Mark, it's Lori. Think you can get me out of this movie into one of those Beastmaster sequels? But Redfern's not going to let her go. Come on, do a line with me. It'll be fun.
Oh, you mean witch? Like Samantha Tabitha, witch.
Like the Warlock.
Title mention, drink. He's still playing with his compass when the cops show up. But he's plucky, so he's going to whip these cops like he's in Devo. And he gets zapped for his troubles. Don't tase me, bro. This is all really quite shocking. I mean, this is basically me every time I've been arrested.
Hear me when I say he's evil. Evil absolute.
Cassandra is about to get the hell out of Dodge, except the witch compass is finally working. He went that away. Alright, I can't ignore it anymore. What in the hell is going on with Lori Singer's hair in this movie? Is that her real hair? Is that a wig? No matter what the case, you have to wonder what she was thinking. Oh, hi there. Just stopped by to see if my tongue omelet was done. And he's definitely keeping an eye on things. Turns out our Warlock is going to take her to go. Not sure why, because she's a real drag. But he doesn't actually need her because the first part of the book is hidden in this table. Oh, sweet, my chemistry notes from junior year. And he's gonna cast one spell for the road.
A decade twice over a day.
Got her with the aging spell. You hate to see it. And it's working because the next morning she swapped her kicky 80s wig for the Rapunzel. That's like the beginnings of a great Chewbacca cosplay right there. Oh my god, I look like I'm 30. Those are some sweet Lee press-on nails too. Do kids even remember Lee press-on nails? Christ, I'm old. With nowhere to turn, she immediately bails out Redfern. This is gonna be the weirdest buddy cop movie since Turner and Hooch. But before they go, he's gonna give her some bad news about that old black magic the Warlock cast on her. She is aging 20 years a day.
Unless you find the Warlock and thereby your bracelet, you shall die in but half a week.
Look at that face. She's like, please tell me you have oil of Olay. Oh yeah, this is like when your Nana decides she's gonna dress like the kids to be younger. Good for Nana. I'm all for whatever makes you happy. Alright, I look old enough now that we can get in for the senior price at Golden Corral if we hurry. She's probably driving 20 the whole way there, in the left lane, with her right blinker on. Hey, I just figured it out. Julian Sands looks like one of the guys who escaped from the Phantom Zone in Superman 2. Ugh, these new script pages are terrible. Weirdest flossing routine ever. Since they're still lagging behind, the Warlock stops to toss the old pigskin around with his kid. This might be some legitimate football practice. Say what you will, but this is a good kid. He's teaching him the basics of football and even gets a dig in at the Bucks.
You can't punt on first down. Nobody does that, not even Tampa Bay.
Then the scene goes from quaintly charming to oddly sinister. The Warlock needs the fat of an unbaptized child to fly, and this kid fills the bill. So, quick aside here, this scene actually inspired a horrifying real-life crime. Back in 1996, 14-year-old Saskatchewan resident Sandy Charles killed a 7-year-old acquaintance because he believed ingesting the fat would give him the power to fly. Charles got the idea from Warlock, which he'd watched multiple times. The kid was found not criminally responsible because of mental illness and went to a mental institution instead of a prison. Meanwhile, Redfern and Cassandra stop for gas. Poor Redfern, he's never gonna get cellular signal out here on that thing. And now it's basically a YouTube cooking channel.
Of all ingredients used by a witch, the most coveted is human fat.
Man, I'd watch a witchy cooking channel. And now we're just gonna liquefy this fat and make a nice flying broth. Yeah, that's the stuff. Probably gonna mess up his macros though. And now Cassandra's even older. You know what they say. Time flies. Back over with the Warlock, he's checking out today's call sheet. Lots of good scenes for me. Now it's like NBA Jam because he's on fire. Dude's definitely got the hot hand. Anyway, if you need someone to point out all the signs there's a Warlock around, this guy looks like a solid choice. Oh yeah, looks like the Maui Wowie is about ready for harvest. And this is like Mennonite graffiti, I think. And check out that fancy GPS. This is way better than Waze. Sure, I suppose we have time to stop for a home improvement project. Nailed it. And now he's in the barn attic. You could say he has some lofty ambitions. Also, you know what a Warlock farmer thinks about? Witches and hoes. Looks like the Warlock is gone, but he did leave behind a page of the script so they can get to the next scene. And it's a magic page. But wait, he is in there. Hey, mind if I drop in? Man, Redford's not messing around. Stabbed him right in the gut. But surprise, he had literal plot armor. And now he's blasting Redfern with witchcraft. Oh boy, this is gonna be a big claim on the Mennonite guy's homeowner's insurance. But before the Warlock can escape, Redfern whips him into shape. He's holding him like he's a supernatural kite. But that's not gonna work, so he's gonna hit him with the javelin instead. Trust me, I was on the varsity track team in high school. Oh yeah, bullseye. Now it's time for a Texas death match. No disqualifications, 2 out of 3 falls. By God, he's gonna lock in the Chinese finger traps. All this tussling leads to him getting some dirt in his eyes. Literally. But our Mennonite makes eye contact with the Warlock, with disastrous results. Warlock's got mud in his eye, this dude has blood in his eye. The bad news is the Warlock got away. The good news is they can still nail him. Literally. Oh yeah, this is me every time I step on a Lego. This works really well, except now the Warlock is on the last train to Clarksville. Run, Grandma! Ooh, you're almost there. Aw, too bad. So close. You almost had it. But she got the bracelet back. And it worked. We're back to the first wig. For Cassandra, this is the end of the line. Look, witch hunting is great, but I'm gonna sit the rest of this out. But he's gonna lure her back in by telling her what's at stake.
I'm not
Should
listening.
this name be uttered in reverse, all creation will undo.
Fine, I'll help. Jeez. And now they're gonna fly to Boston to beat the Warlock to the last piece. TSA is gonna have a field day with Redfern. This is all a great plan, but it turns out Redfern's a very nervous flyer.
In my day, those even endeavoring to fly are accused of witchery.
But don't worry, looks like they're going to share a flight with the Warlock. They take off, and if there's a Warlock or a gremlin sitting on that wing, I'm calling the cops. Redfern does figure out that the Warlock is stowed away on the plane, in the luggage compartment. See, even on a plane, Redfern just can't get away from his baggage. Oh, hey, they're taking a cab. That's like Uber 1.0 for you kids. And they do eventually make it to the church. Hey, do you have any of those wafers? It was a long flight and they only gave us peanuts. The Padre doesn't have wafers, but he does have this. The last phone book ever printed. Oh, and he's got good news.
Well, if I'm reading this correctly, the third part might still be here in Boston.
Yeah, everything's coming up Millhouse. They head off in search of the book, but the Padre has a guest. Hi, honey, I'm home. Oh, hey there, Delilah. You know, because she was Delilah in Unforgiven. The good news for Redfern and Cassandra is that the last part of the book is stored safely in a cemetery. On consecrated ground a warlock can't enter. And the plots thicken. So, whose grave is it buried in? Come on, you can guess, right? Also, sweet city map painting in the background. I mean, I think it's a map painting. Might be a miniature. It's hard to tell. Still pretty awesome. But before they can head off, there's a snag.
They're moving graves! That sign says something about a landfill!
So much for that consecrated ground, I guess. But the good news is it looks like their stone brick oven pizza is ready. And at least they got the last pages, pried from Redfern's cold, dead hands. With the pages in hand, they can put them back on hallowed ground, except the Warlock is here. Kneel before Zod. Wait, wrong movie. Anyway, they split up and Redfern's basically hiding out. What a hero. Cassandra, meanwhile, is getting the mother of all pedicures. Hold still, I'm just trying to clip your nails. And he throws in some acupuncture. I'm literally on pins and needles wondering how this will turn out. Out of options, Redfern gives up the pages. But he's not going down without a fight and gives the Warlock a taste of his pimp fist. Oh yeah, he's beating on him like a rented mule. This year's casket match main event is shaping up to be a good one. Sands is landing some punches of his own too. It's like boxing. Helena. But Redfern hits him with the sand while the ref is distracted. With Redfern down for the count, Cassandra tags in and immediately gets her own pimp hand. Now, things are really bleak because the Warlock has the whole Grand Grimoire. I mean, really, the only books harder to get than this are George R.R. Martin's last two Game of Thrones novels. This is basically just another Florida summer afternoon. It'll be totally clear in like 15 minutes. What isn't good news is the book is going to give up the name of God. Wait, his name is Ronald? Normally, we point out facetious great moments in horror film acting, but Sands and Grant are giving it their all here, and I am here for it. But before he can say it and undo creation, Cassandra hits him with a hot shot at Deca. Oh yeah, it's already making him super vascular. And it looks like his plan is about to go up in flames. I think they overcooked him. And creation is saved. Huzzah. Frankly, I'd be okay with the unmaking at this point, honestly. Cassandra's about to put the moves on Redfern, but he tornadoes his way out of there back to the past. He probably realized how much credit card debt she ran up during the movie and decided that relationship wasn't gonna work. Oh shit, he died on my birthday. Like 153 years before I was born. Oh great, someone left their spec script for the sequel lying around. Yeah, better bury this out here. We don't want any more of these movies. And let's drive off into the credits. Bold background choice. So, what have we learned from Warlock? Well, for starters, that Julian Sands and Richard Grant could elevate a horror film like nobody's business. With other actors in these roles, it's doubtful this film is remembered so fondly. They're great at it. This one has long been one of my favorites, and revisiting it now, it still holds up. Sequels aren't quite as good, but this one, definitely worth checking out. But enough about that. Can Warlock conjure up enough carnage to earn a coveted 5 barf bag rating? Let's go to the gore card. In terms of gross anatomy, Warlock is a little light. We have a severed tongue, a chopped off finger, removed eyeballs, Julian Sands burnt to a crisp, and that's about it. The FX work is solid, but there are long stretches where it's relatively bloodless. Because of that, I can't give Warlock anything more than a 2 barf bag rating. This isn't a sick flick by our standards, but it is excellent. Looking for another movie about witches? Then be sure to check out my review of the Devonsville Terror. You'll find a link here on the screen. I'll meet you over there. Until next time, I'm Mike Bracken, aka The Horror Geek, bringing you all the splatter that matters.